Sit back and grow your Ringgit sense. This program is powered by Ringgit Plus. Hi, I'm Azaria Tagaya, your host for Ringgit Sense Plus, powered by Ringgit Plus. In this new season, we're working with our partners ringgitplus.com, Malaysia's leading financial comparison site, to share with you personal finance tips that will help you manage and grow your money. While we were off the air, a few important things have happened. The 2019 budget was tabled in Parliament. Will it help you reduce the cost of living? And what will it mean to you? I'm sure by now you've already seen media reports explaining the pros and cons of the budget on the general economy, but we wanted to know specifically what it means for two groups of people. First, a family of four with two young children renting a home in the Klang Valley. Both parents are working with a joint income of 6,500 ringgit. What incentives will help reduce their cost of living? Second, a single working adult also renting a room in the Klang Valley and earns 2,700 ringgit. Should they buy a home or rent? To answer our questions, we gathered experts from the Financial Planning Association of Malaysia for a roundtable discussion. We met up with three senior members of FPAM at the Royal Chulan Damansara Hotel to hear their thoughts.
Okay, so we're talking about the recent tabling of the budget and how this actually affects this model family, this scenario that we've given you earlier. So we'll start with you, Rafiq. What do you think are some of the pros in the budget for this family, and also what are some of the downsides that you can see? Okay,
to be honest, the way I see it, if we assume both the husband and the wife actually works, there's actually not that much impact with regards to the budget for them, because both of them would be under the tax payable threshold. Okay. However, things become more interesting if you actually then make it a single income family, a single income household. Either the husband or the wife actually earns the whole 6,500, and then some of the things that was announced in the recent budget actually makes a difference. So one of the difference is actually the split between the EPF and life insurance, in which before this you were paying 6,000 ringgit a year tax relief for both EPF plus life insurance, whereas now it's actually split. The total has increased, but now 4,000 ringgit is under EPF, 3,000 ringgit is under life insurance. So then it actually makes a difference if you actually look at the tax payable for 2018 and the tax payable for 2019, which actually this group of people will be paying less taxes due to the additional reliefs.
Okay, what about you, Rajan? What do you have to say about the recent budget? What do you think about it, and also how it affects the pros and cons to this model family that we've given you?
Now, because they've got two young children, it's unlikely that they're going out of their way to use public transport. But given this budget, if they do use public transport, then that Rapid KL pass that people can get, just 100 ringgit a month for unlimited rides on Rapid KL trains and buses, that might be quite useful. Again, 6,000 ringgit, chances are they go for at least ASEAN related holidays, so they're going to end up having to pay like 20 ringgit every time they fly out, and if you go for a holiday elsewhere, it's going to be 40.
Okay, what about you, Lynette? What are some of the takeaways from the budget, and how do you think this will affect the model family?
Well, I'm going to look from an overall look at it. I think the present government has given a lot of thoughts into it, and if you ask me, I would say that this one taxes the people who are rich, and it gives a lot of reprieve for people who are below the line income. So I think it's quite a fair budget. I mean, it's not a lot of goodies that we see, but they still have that family, as you were saying, that they might want to travel in a car, but the income is not that high. So it's provided for, because 2 billion petrol subsidy for cars below 1,500 1,500 cc. Plus, it has a 5 billion grant for low-income household and children. I think that would help people who are the B40 or maybe hovering around there as well. The lower level of the B40, M40s will also benefit. I think it's a fair budget. It is considered the situation that we are now is the best as it can be. I know it's not easy. I think if I were in Lim Guan Eng's shoes, I'll be sweating buckets of sweat. So I think it came out quite well actually.
Well, the tips that the experts just shared is only useful if you know how to control your finances. Financial literacy, or the knowledge of how to manage your finances, is something that we are pretty passionate about at Ringgit Sense Plus. So when ringgitplus.com did a financial literacy survey, we were pretty concerned to learn that most Malaysians have a very little control of their finances. We spoke to Han Liu, the CEO of Ringgit Plus, on the findings. Ringgit Plus wanted to know the financial literacy level of the average Malaysian, and they asked basic questions like, did you save money monthly? The results they got back was quite worrying.
So we ran a survey surveying all Malaysians, a broad segment of Malaysians online, and what we found on how financially literate Malaysians were was very, very surprising and very, very worrying as well. I mean, some of the stuff that we found, for example, was that 59% of Malaysians admitted that if they had lost their income or salary and they lost their job, they couldn't last more than 3 months. They didn't have enough savings to last more than 3 months. And over 1/3 of Malaysians admitted to spending more than they earn each month, which kind of means they're not able to save at all. So I mean, these kind of stats was surprising, yes, but very worrying, because it shows us that Malaysians aren't quite as financially literate as we hoped we were.
We know you have big questions about insurance, loans, and how you can better invest your money. This is why we're collaborating with Ringgit Plus to teach you guys financial literacy.
We at Ringgit Plus, we're thrilled to be able to work with the Ringgit Sense Plus team with this new show, because it solves, or it caters to, or it targets that very single problem that on financial literacy and poor financial literacy among Malaysians, right? The more people we can reach and tell them that it's important to look after your money, it's important to educate yourselves about financial products, your financial lifestyle, your money matters. We hope that we can make Malaysians feel better off, and ultimately we believe that we can do this through this amazing partnership that we have.
On ringgitplus.com, they have articles about financial literacy that you can read on your own time. You can also contact them on Facebook and Twitter if you want to learn more about financial literacy. In future episodes, besides the licensed financial planners that we speak to, we will also be sharing tips from Ringgit Plus. We're going for a short break. After the break, we'll be continuing our roundtable discussion on how single working adults earning 2,700 ringgit living in the Klang Valley can take advantage of the 2019 budget. Should they buy a property now or continue to rent? The answers after the break. Welcome back to Ringgit Sense Plus. Today we're taking a look at what the 2019 budget means to a family of 4 with a joint income of 6,500 ringgit and a single working adult earning 2,700 ringgit. What are the pros and cons? Join us as we talk to our panel of experts in our roundtable discussion.
Okay, so now that we've taken a look at families, we want to see how the budget actually affects singles as well, especially those living in the city. So again, we'll start with you, Rafiq. How do you think the budget will affect singles who are young working adults? The scenario we're giving you is earning about 2,700 ringgit, living in the Klang Valley.
Okay, so thanks, Azaya. So if you actually take into account this current scenario, a young working adult earning 2,700 ringgit a month, the person is probably renting a room instead of a house.
Yeah.
And the person probably would like to get married. So these are some of the things that the person would have to take into account when they plan their own budget. Okay. So actually similar to the situation with regards to family, this scenario doesn't have that much impact from a tax point of view, because the person is actually not paying any taxes right now, because not even any PCB or scheduled deduction, because it's below the threshold. Okay, so apart from that, if you talk about the EPF, life insurance, tax relief, like I said earlier, there's no much different. It's just that with this group of people also, if you take, okay, I'm still young, I only live once, I want to go travel, so then their cost of travel actually goes up, because now they have to pay the additional 20 ringgit or 40 ringgit every time they do fly out.
Cuti Malaysia.
So the other option is to go for the local holidays, which then would affect the local tourism scene, which then would increase the income of the government.
Okay. What about you, Rajan? Anything you agree or disagree with what Rafiq has to say?
One of the most important things a person can do is to operate from a budget, look at your cash flow statement, try your level best. I know earning 2,700 ringgit in KL in the Klang Valley is going to be tough. But if you're willing to make short-term sacrifices, if you can build some kind of a margin, that means you spend less than you earn, and you save and invest the difference, and you do it for a long time. And you might possibly want to do the investing in stocks or in bonds, in REITs. I believe we're going to talk about REITs a little bit. So there is an opportunity to build. But along the way, you have to be quite smart. And in terms of taking advantage of the budget, I think what you can do is, if the individual has, he doesn't earn very much, so I assume he has a small car, if a car at all, just make sure that car is 1500 cc or lower. And if you suddenly have a car that is larger, quickly go and sell that car and go and buy a smaller car. Take advantage of the petrol subsidy. Then definitely for any kind of ancillary travel where public transport can be used, take advantage again of the Rapid KL 100 ringgit cap on the trains and buses. And again, maybe not straight away, but if the terms of the budget stay for a few years, because he is aspirational, he may want to buy a house. Now, there are advantages to in this budget, because the stamp duty exemption for properties under $500,000. Of course, it's quite difficult to find something in the Klang Valley. So I live in Seremban, so I highly recommend come to Seremban. You can find houses for under $500,000 ringgit, or go to Ipoh or Nilai, or lots of other places as well.
Okay. What about you, Lynette?
We were talking just before the show started. We were talking about investing property, because currently he's renting. Why buy when you can rent? And houses, there's an overhang of residential properties. Rental are going cheap because people would rather rent their property than to leave it vacant. You can get nice properties. I think around Mata Utama, rooms are going for about 450, 500. It's good enough. And the balance of the money that you have, if you put aside each month 800 ringgit, you can actually earn enough, you can save enough to start buying REITs. REITs are real estate investment trusts. People keep talking about buying properties. Buying properties, number one, the last 3 years, I checked with a property consultant. He said the last 2 to 3 years, the property market have been softening. And for the last 2 years, developers have been building properties that's above $500,000. So for people who are looking at between 250 to 400,000, it's very hard to find properties. And if you do, it's a shoebox.
Or go to Seremban.
Or go to Seremban, as Rajan says, right? So if you look at that, why not rent and you save the balance of your money, of the 800, maybe you keep another few hundred, 300, all right, 300 as emergency money. So that and in case there's any emergency, you have money, you still have 500. You keep 500 every month. You would have some money. You can go and buy REITs. And I was just comparing REITs year on year. Averagely, the return is between 6 to 7%, which is very attractive. Of course, 5 years ago is even more attractive. It goes between 7 to 8%. But the last 3 years, you are looking at between 5.5 to the highest we saw is 8.3%. So why buy when you can rent and invest the rest, and it's still property? And if you save enough and you really, by the time you get married and you want to buy a house, the proceeds that you get from your dividends, you can buy a house from there. So invest in property to buy property.
Okay.
That's my take.
All right.
We also asked Han Liu, the CEO of Ringgit Plus, what were the key points our sample family of 4 should keep in mind to use Budget 2019 to reduce their cost of living.
Ultimately, while this budget is not heavily negatively impactful for them, there weren't many additional things that would have helped them much, right? But some of the things which they can at least look forward to are reintroduction of the fuel subsidy, assuming they have cars below 1,500cc, easier transportation to work if they live in the Klang Valley and take the MRT with the MRT monthly pass, and things like cheaper broadband.
Han also said the upcoming sugar tax was worth taking note of. As Malaysians consume a lot of sugary drinks, they should take this opportunity to save money and stay healthy.
They need to start watching out on their eating and drinking though, because you know, with the introduction of the new soda tax, they've got to watch whether or not that tax increases their consumption or their spending on sugary drinks. So that's something that someone like that needs to watch out for. Unfortunately, with that family, they don't really qualify for Bantuan Sara Hidup, despite being a family of 4, where that allocation was actually increased versus last year for such a family. They don't quite qualify.
Han adds that the best thing this model family can do is increase their knowledge in personal finance so that they can avoid making costly financial mistakes. On the Ringgit Plus website are articles you can read on how to pick the right financial product that suits your needs.
We all hope that someone like that will start thinking about their future savings, right, and try and make their way not only up the income ladder, but also save some money along the way.
We're taking another short break. When we come back, we're going to summarize some of the key things that you should do in 2019 to reduce your cost of living. Welcome back to Ringgit Sense Plus. Earlier, we discussed the pros and cons of the 2019 budget. So what are the key things that you should be doing in 2019 to help reduce your cost of living? This is what the experts from the Financial Planning Association of Malaysia have to say.
Okay, so sort of rounding things off, we just want to know your opinions or your top tips on how we can actually take full advantage of the budget. So, Rafiq, you first.
So to me, one of the most impactful portion of the budget is actually you can now reduce your transportation costs.
Yes.
There's no hike for intracity tolls for 2019.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that 100, to me, the 100 cap per month actually makes a difference, because I do have clients who actually use MRTs or LRTs on a daily basis, in which they were paying about 150, 200 a month depending on where they are, and this will actually give them additional money that they can then put aside. So not to spend, but put aside in other investments for their emergencies, or maybe to purchase their house in the future. I think two things with regards to for first-time homeowners. One is the exempt for stamp duties. We actually make it slightly cheaper for them to purchase the house as long as the property is below 500,000. The other one is actually the mortgage guarantees from Cagamas. So I couldn't find that much details on it yet. But for first-time home buyers who are earning 5,000 ringgit a month, so it can be in a situation where, like, we go back to our family situation where the wife is actually earning below 5,000. So or the husband is earning below 5,000. So they might have one house already. Does this mean they're eligible to buy a second house because they're buying it separately? So would then the other spouse be eligible for this? If that's the case, then the mortgage guarantee actually then helps to reduce the interest rate that they're paying to a rate of 3.5%, which then comes up to a cost saving between 7 to 11% for the new home buyers, which is actually a big thing. Yeah, it's just that most of the property overhangs are not within that range, especially in KL. Most of it is above 500,000.
Okay. What about you, Rajan? How can we make the best out of this budget?
The first thing you want to do is to actually, again, from a financial planning perspective, you want to exercise delayed gratification. So you want to try and sacrifice now so that you build a surplus so you can do something with it. The way to do that, I think, is to actually commit to the very, very, very best investment of all. But the very best investment, in my opinion, is your own education. And therefore, what I would recommend is that people attend seminars, people read books on financial planning, on business, on economics, on investing. If they do that, then they will actually be enhancing their capacity to earn money. But of course, as you do that, you still want to be able to figure out how to broaden your surplus, your margin. And then coming to the budget itself, I guess, learn about investing, invest ever so slowly, start low and slow and gradually build up.
Okay. What about you, Lynette?
Okay. I agree with all that Rafiq and Rajan has said. I just want to add a little bit more. I look at the budget and I agree with what Rajan has said, that the budget actually helps the individual. Because when I look at it, from the financial planning viewpoint, we always say that don't go for excesses. Even in Islam Sharia, they also tell you don't go for excesses, just take what you need. And if you look at the budget, they actually help you not to buy luxury goods because the tax is higher. That's very interesting. Don't buy cars that are too powerful. You need cars to get from point A to point B, so you buy more expensive, you pay lah. And those who buy will be able to afford to pay. They complain, but at the end of the day, they will still pay. So they will help the government to reduce that. So I think this is a very, I still think that it is a people-friendly budget.
Over the next few episodes, we have many more tips about reducing the cost of living and also putting in place a proper financial plan. If this sounds like a heavy to-do list, don't worry, start small. The first thing you should do is start with a monthly budget to keep track of your finances. You can also read one article about personal finance each day. Implement the lessons you've learned before moving on to the next article. You should be able to see results in a few months' time.
The key thing about developing financial literacy is literally like going to the gym for exercise, right? Like you only get better at it by doing more of it, being more aware of the need to do it, and just learning from experts, right? Learning from people who know what they're doing with their money.
Like Rajan, Han says Malaysians should invest more time in growing their knowledge about managing their personal finance, just to make sure you get it from reliable sources. So, where can they go to?
For me, the easy answer is come to Ringgit Plus, right? We want to help make it simple for Malaysians to understand complex financial jargon, complex financial products. Just make it easy for them to get the most out of their money, put some savings back in their pocket.
For more personalized advice, you should seek out a licensed financial planner or advisor for a more holistic look at your finances. If you want to watch today's interview or share it with your friends, you can find us on YouTube and also on Facebook. Let us know if the advice we shared today applies for you by leaving a comment on Facebook. We know that managing your finances is not easy, so if you want to meet a licensed financial planner for a makeover, drop us a message. Let us know why you want to meet a financial planner, and we will bring one to you for free advice. Now, we can't do this for everyone, so we'll be selecting a few of you and share the lessons that we can learn from the meeting in a future episode. We'll see you next week on Ringgit Sense Plus. I'm Azara Tagaya. Until then, invest and save wisely.